Refreshing Wild Cherry Cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
There's no one like you, and there never will be.
From the producer of Bohemian Rhapsody, there are many legends, but there is only one. Michael, rated PG-13, in theaters April 24.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hey, this is Mac Mullins from The CEO, and you're listening to Hook Rocks with Jay Scott.
Turn the music loud. Scream if you're dirty, love if you're haunted. Tell me that she's coming, we'll drive all night. Scream if you're dirty, love if you're haunted. She's a one-way ticket for a three-way ride. Kick the tires, checking out the goods.
What's going on, everyone? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. Hope everybody enjoyed their Memorial Day weekend and also the beginnings of summer. School is out for most. Vacations are being, gosh, I can't even believe that. I mean, last summer, I don't think anybody went on a vacation, and vacations are now going on across families, across everyone, across the country. So hope everybody's enjoying their time, getting back into the normalcy, and hopefully it continues. I know live shows are back, sporting events are back. It's all good. We've turned that corner. We're almost at the end, and let's just keep positive and just keep it going. I know everyone's excited to see some concerts and some live shows, and I am part of that group that's really, really excited. So once again, we're part of the Pantheon Podcast Network. You can check out pantheonpodcast.com and other podcasts on their platform. It's a bunch of music podcasts on one platform. It's a great way to find different interests and different topics and different points of view. Carmen Apiece and Vinny Appice have a podcast on their platform, as does Mistress Carrie, the Shout Out Loudcast Boys, Cobras and Fire, Martin Popoff, myself. You can catch the latest episode and all past episodes on anywhere you podcast. So please subscribe and follow. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And thank you very much for listening, and write us a review if you get a chance. As always, we do music commentary, have great music interviews and music topics that are affecting the genre of rock and roll. And we also discuss a lot of new music on this podcast. And nonetheless, we have a repeat offender, a repeat guest from last year. We have lead singer Eric Jayk from the band Wildstreet. What's going on, Eric? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I am really excited to talk to you because you got a lot of stuff going on.
Well, yeah. It's been a big year for Wildstreet, so I'm excited to tell everybody about what's been going on.
Yeah, you guys are currently on tour right now. You guys are pulling into Georgia, I think, at this point today, or are you already there?
We're about halfway to Savannah, and last night we played in Nashville, and it was fun. It was great. And yeah, it's nice to be back on tour, especially after last year.
How is the tour going? How are crowds responding and coming out to shows? Is there still some hesitancy, or is it seem like the rock and roll crowd is coming back?
Well, I can say that that a lot of people are going to shows, and their first show back is Wildstreet, and everybody has so much fun, and I can see I can see like the happiness in people's eyes when we're playing, and after when they talk to us, and it's really different. Some shows have been totally packed. Some shows have been somewhat empty, but it's when you're on tour, it's there are good shows and there are bad shows.
Yeah, just like anything. And of course, this is all new for a lot of people. I mean, the experience of going to a live concert is certainly not new, but coming out of a pandemic, it certainly is. And I'm sure there's some hesitancy, with some people, and I'm sure some other people are just really excited just to get back out there. But no, I mean, I think it's just going to keep building and building and building.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
How are you guys as a band? I mean, I know, gosh, last time we talked, you guys were planning a U.S. tour. I think you guys were going to be going to South America too, right?
Yeah, we had planned Kings of the World Tour 2020. We were going to UK, South America, Mexico, and Europe, and more. And obviously that got rescheduled. And this year we started that tour, I guess. But yeah, everything's good. Like we're ready to play, and we're playing a lot. So it's all good.
You guys have the new album coming out on the 25th, and being on tour and playing out the new music, which is really exciting. As far as the tour goes with the album, I mean, what are your plans for the rest of the year in 2022? I mean, is this just something where you guys just going to be on the road, just working it for the next year and a half, couple of years?
Well, we're releasing this record. This record it's been done since 2019, and we were originally just releasing some singles because we were building up to releasing the album, and because of the state of the world of last year, we ended up releasing a few more singles than we had planned. But it's been awesome for us because it gets fans more excited and builds momentum. This year, so this tour is the Southeast, and then we come back to New York for 5 days, and then we're heading over to Switzerland and doing the Swiss Rock Cruise. And our album comes out June 25th. We play the Swiss Rock Cruise as the co-headliner with Thunder Mother, and Shiraz Lane is playing, Junkyard Drive. There's a bunch of great bands playing, and it's like the most killer album release party ever. And so we get back from Swiss Rock Cruise, and we come home for another 5 days, and then we go out for our tour out to Rockfest. And those dates haven't been announced yet on socials or on our website, but it's going to be a long tour, and we're gonna see a lot of the United States.
I am jealous to see you guys playing with Thunder Mother, another one of my favorite bands as well.
Yeah, the killer.
Well, that's exciting news, man. I mean, you've got the new album, Wildstreet III, coming out on the 25th of June. The singles that have been put out, Mother, which is the last one, is just an incredible song. I really, you gave me an advanced copy, and I really have enjoyed listening to it. I have to tell you, man, it's a really good album. I mean, there's some songs that we all know from Wildstreet that are on there, but to put them all together with the new material sounds really killer.
Yeah, and this album was recorded in the traditional sense, like it was all like one album session. You know what I mean? So it's supposed to be seen as a complete work of a complete album, not just a collection of songs.
No, totally. Yeah.
And thank you so much for listening to Mother and yeah, I think the song's awesome. So I'm excited to release the album.
Yeah, when you look back at the 3 singles that you've released over the last few months, Still Love You, which is just a great tune as well, and Set It Off, which I really enjoyed too. Yeah, man, it's a great way for Wildstreet to kind of, I don't want to say reintroduce themselves, but, get back into the game when everyone's been out for, a year and a half putting things on pause. I think it's a great way to connect with fans again, because the music on the album is just awesome. I mean, Tennessee Cocaine, we all know. Three-Way Ride, I've heard before. Love Midnight Children, which is a great tune. But yeah, just I'm sure your fans, new fans and fans of old, will enjoy this album.
I think so. I think we'll gain a lot of fans, and we definitely will not disappoint.
When you went into the studio to record this music in the new music and putting this all together, this was done before the pandemic, as you said, correct?
Yeah, it was. We released Raise Hell as a single in 2017, but it was recorded in the same drum room and considered part of this album. So besides that, we were recording in fall of 2018 and finished in May of 2019. And so yeah, it's been a while, but it took longer than that to get the album together. You know what I mean?
Sure. And what was, obviously you had, the COVID pandemic to deal with, and that's why the album was put on pause. But what's it like sitting on material that you're excited about and you're proud of for so long?
It's the hardest thing, because we knew exactly who we were and what we can do, and nobody knew. So because but it was our choice, because we were holding out for the right record label and the right deal and the right way to get the music out to the fans. If you do it wrong, then nobody hears anything.
As you were observing music, during this time and during the pause, as we call it here, and you're seeing other bands out there making music and putting it out. And, I think the last time we did talk about the state of music and where it was going. And unbeknownst to us, we'd be dealing with a pandemic for a year and a half. But my question to you is, as we move forward and we start to open up and people are releasing music over, I would probably say since October of last year is really when the wave started of new music releases. And there was stuff before that as well, but really, when you think back of October, November, you think of like the Struts and you think of AC/DC and you think of Tyler Bryant. And then this year it's just been one album after another. Do you think, even though the pause happened and everybody had to take a break, do you think rock music is in a better place now than it was before the pandemic?
Well, that's a loaded question. I don't think I'm able to say that, but I think that the state of music today is pretty awesome. You know what I mean? Like there's I rock out to new bands and old bands, and I rock out to everybody. So I'm excited for all the new releases that are coming.
It's just an exciting time to be a part of it and be a fan of music. I mean, it seems like everyone's releasing music. It's like rock music. I've always said, people try to redefine it. People try to say, rock music is this now. It's no longer what it was. And I have always disagreed with that, because I always felt that the key to rock music coming back is to celebrate it. And I think what's happening with bands like Wildstreet and the album that you're going to be releasing and others as well, it's a celebration. The celebration is back. I mean, how could you not enjoy, week after week of new music coming out, and it's all awesome too. It's like all great. Everybody's been sitting on or making great new music.
Totally. Yeah. I think our record label, especially, there's lots of new bands of all different kinds of rock music, and it's really I share everybody's music because I support everybody, and I listen to all of it. Rock music is when you're a musician, you're also a fan, And I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got signed to Golden Robot Records, and
Yes.
how did that all happen?
Well, okay. So like over the summer last year, okay, so this is like pandemic times, and it's kind of funny, right? So like I would, I would ride my bicycle all around Brooklyn because I was so sick of being in my apartment. And so I was listening to Spotify, right? And I was listening to Spotify hard rock, and I saw this band Shotgun Mistress on, and I was like, "Who's Shotgun Mistress?" And I listened to the song, and I thought it was fantastic, right? And so probably like a week or two later, a friend of mine, well, at that time he wasn't a friend; he was a friend of a friend. He wrote me and asked me to sing on his record, and the record was the Minefield record. And so, and he was signed to Golden Robot Records. So I took that as a sign, and I wrote an email to Mark, and I sent him the album, and he was stoked on it. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. That's another great album too that was released. Minefield's debut album is just killer.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It was like, yeah, it was awesome to be a part of it.
So you got signed to Golden Robot. They were stoked about the album. They're based out of Australia, right?
Yes. Yep.
And they've got a lot of, they've got you guys. They've got Mindfeld. I think Silverthorne released their album on Golden Robot. Gilby Clark just had his album released on that. Yeah, there's a really good roster of bands out there.
Yeah, they just made some pretty big signings too. So there's a lot of really great music coming from them.
Now, as far as you guys and being creative, how did you guys stay creative and stay in front of your music while the pandemic was going on?
Well, everybody's different, but everybody was writing. My guitar player and I started Wildstreet in 2006, and he and I have been collaborating over email for years. And so, like, during the pandemic was no different. He would send me a track, or I would send him an idea, and we'd write a song, also, like, I did a bunch of like collaborations with other bands that probably wouldn't have happened had it been, because I'd be on tour, so yeah, like, music is my life, so you always stay in it.
You just mentioned, getting on your bike and riding through Brooklyn because you were tired of staying at home. How did you stay creative, though? I mean, I know you were collaborating with your guitar player, being on other people's projects, but still, that's got to be, when you're not living life how you normally live it, it's got to be difficult. And how did you, tap into that motivation and that well of creativity while you were going through it?
It's listening to all the great bands that are out right now, and being inspired by what's going on in music. That's, it's like, that's the truth.
Collaborating on this record and the process to put it together was, as you mentioned, started in 2017 and even prior to that. And here we are in 2021. I mean, you kind of have to, X out the last 18 months because of the pandemic, but it was a long process. And from the start to the end, was there a difference in the creative process, or did it remain the same throughout?
Well, I would say that of course it changed because we're a band. Everybody's input and everybody's personality is going to be on the song versus the original demo, which is probably just two of us or three of us or something. But yeah, like, we grew as a band. The best thing that I can say for us has been touring, because we're playing these songs in front of people like every night, and it like, we feed off each other's energy and make the song even better. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And you start to build that synergy between you guys and that cohesiveness, and the music just builds and gets better.
Absolutely.
You guys were one of the first ones to get back out there and tour, after this was over. I mean, even while some states even still had restrictions in place, You guys were booking dates and playing, and I know some stuff. I know you guys were supposed to be playing by me about a month and a half ago, and it got rescheduled to further down south in Illinois, out in Peoria. That had to be an interesting experience, because here you are playing gigs and people are still trying to figure out what was going on. And, I imagine you learned a lot through that process of, your threshold and what you can handle as a band.
Yeah. I guess there's the last thing on our mind was the pandemic, to be honest. Like, for example, we kept on, how did we know that so many people would come to the shows and that we'd sell so much merch? So we had to restock our T-shirts twice. We had gig location changes in the middle, and so we were definitely not thinking about the pandemic. We were thinking about rocking hard.
But yeah. I mean, but just going through that whole process of imagine it was a little bit of a whirlwind in the beginning, because you're trying to settle in, you're trying to focus on playing and playing the new music and getting your merch and selling your merch. And here you are, having to change venues because restrictions are different, or, whatever the case was. You guys probably lived about 10 lives through that process.
We're Wildstreet. We're used to it.
So getting back to the album, again, it's a killer record for those listening, and for those that have been fans of Wildstreet for a while. You will be very happy with the release. New fans that have just casually listened to you guys, I suggest you dive into this album once it comes out on the 25th of June. As far as the record goes, as far as the song goes, what excites you the most about this album?
Well, the album is showing our listeners, it's showing our listeners that we are still the same Wildstreet, but we're different, and we can be lots of different things. We're not the same band that released, Wildstreet 2009 or Wildstreet Faster Ladder. There's more to the band, and I think that the goal was to show what we can do, and lead to the next album, and get people excited, and that's what I think, at least.
Well, I think you're right. When you look back at the last three singles, Set It Off, I Still Love You, and Mother, I mean, there's a big difference in your sound now than there was even just a few years back. And also just like the types of songs you're writing are just, you see the growth and the evolution of the band as well. I mean, Mother is just a monster song. And the Still Love You track is has a very tender side to you guys, and I think that's great too as well. And then, of course, Set It Off has got this funky beat, funky melody that just sucks you in.
Totally. Let me tell you, Set It Off and Mother were the two last songs that were written for Wildstreet III. They're like the newest of the bunch. And Still Love You is actually one of the oldest, dating back to 2010, really.
Oh, wow.
It just, I think that the thing about Wildstreet is people want to put you're this kind of music or this kind of music. We're just a hard rock band who kicks ass. You know what I mean? And we just rock, and yeah.
Yeah, and Mother too. I mean, it comes in over 7 minutes long, and it's a journey. That's the thing about the song, man. It does take you for a ride.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I think Mother shows definitely a different, more substantial side of Wildstreet.
Staying connected to your fans during the pandemic leading up to this album was very important for not just Wildstreet, but every band, every artist that's out there. And you guys have a pretty heavy presence on social media. Did that become a more of a focus for you guys in terms of, hey, we've got to stay in front of people? And I'm sure it did. I mean, I'm sure it's the obvious question, but how did you guys plan to keep, kind of staying in front and keeping your fans' attention?
Well, I definitely think it became even more of a priority. But part of what I've done with our social media is, like, in the old days, like, whatever. I'm like a strange looking dude. I'm a weird dude. And, I would be aloof and not really connected with the fans. When Jimmy and I and the other guys got together in 2016 or 2017, it was like, I really wanted to connect better with our fans. And knowing that, given the situation with the pandemic, it seemed like a perfect opportunity. And so, like, what I did is, nobody was seeing shows. Everybody was depressed, right? So I did these stupid live streams on Facebook and Instagram, and I brought our band traffic up to 5 million on our socials, which, it's kind of amazing, actually. And like, but I think that it's really important to connect with your audience and to know your audience, because, like, if you don't interact with your fans, then, how are you supposed to come up with great music for them? You know what I mean? Because you're too much of a distance.
Yeah, I agree. And staying in front of your fans, especially, the last 18 months, where everyone's trying to do that and everyone's trying to, stay in front of people and have their fans and doing live streams. And that was a little bit different too, because, live streams were kind of an afterthought prior to the pandemic. And now, obviously as bands start to tour again, it won't become as relevant and important. And I don't want to say important, but I do think bands have found a new way to stay connected, because when they do have their downtime, when Wildstreet takes a bit of a break for, how long it is, a week or two, or maybe longer at some point over the next couple of years, you still have the ability now to stay connected, which people, I don't think, were really understanding how to do that, because once bands would have downtime, you would see very minimal contact through social media. And in the end, that hurt the band, that hurt the artists.
Yeah, totally. Like, what's interesting is, before the pandemic, for like, I guess like 6 to 8 months before the pandemic, I would do a live stream on Instagram once a week. So I was already doing like these live stream, like, hangout session things. I just, I didn't like promote it or anything. I just went live. But yeah, it's really a great way to, because you can, like, connect with your fans all over the world, So,
yeah. I do think that's going to be more prevalent, Eric, too. I think as, people, booking agents, promoters, whoever, see the value and see it as another form of revenue. If Wildstreet is playing in Savannah, Georgia, right, and you have fans in Greece, or you have fans in Scotland or wherever, and obviously they're unable to make the show in Savannah, having a live stream is that you're able to sell that as a ticket and produce more revenue, because, hey, they're not going to come by me anytime soon, but I can still watch them live thousands of miles away, which I don't know if people really understood that prior to the pandemic, but that's just opened up a new way. And let's face it, revenue is very important for a band, because it helps pay for studio time. It helps, pay for stuff on the road too as well. So that all matters in the long run.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I can say, like, my live streams were at like 5 or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. And, like, it's like 7 a.m. in Japan or whatever. And we have people from Japan who are waking up and watching Wildstreet live streams. So, like, yeah, it's totally a great way to connect to fans all over the world. And I do think it will still be relevant.
Yeah, no, I do think it, like I said, as bands start to tour, I think it may slow down a little bit, but it's still, I mean, to have that tool in the toolbox, so to speak, is huge for bands. And as it keeps developing with better technology, with new computers or MacBooks or wherever, developing better speakers and better sound systems for your computers so people can have that experience and pay for that option. That all matters. And I think moving forward, it's kind of like watching a sporting event at home. Nothing can replace going to a baseball game or a hockey game in person, just like nothing can replace going to see a band in the flesh. But you have the ability to get online or wherever you want to go get it, or wherever you want to go get it, and listen to a band and see a band, what they're doing. I mean, can you imagine, if you guys are playing a festival, in Switzerland, and you guys are going to be putting out your new song and playing your first song or a new song for the first time? I mean, people are going to want to tune in. Wildstreet fans are going to want to see that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
It's really, so as we move forward, Eric, and you're on tour, the Kings of the World tour here, and you're stopping in Savannah, how much longer does this leg of the tour last for you guys?
We finished this part on June 13th, and then we're heading back to New York. So yeah, it's a short tour of the Southeast, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida.
Have you found that certain areas of the country are better for playing live than other parts in terms of just the ease of booking, the ease of playing live?
Well, not really. We have established long-time fan bases in certain parts of the country, but the whole idea is to fill in with more and keep going.
Yeah, no, I get that, but what I'm asking is is Florida more receptive to a live show than, let's say, New York or California or Chicago?
I can't say that, but I can tell you that I can answer that question after the tour.
Fair enough. And then after the June 13th, you have a little bit of a break, and then you do the Swedish cruise?
Yep, the Swiss Rock Cruise on the 26th of June.
Now, is that your first time, playing in that part of the world?
Well, it's our first time in Switzerland, but it's not our first time in Europe. We toured Europe in 2019 with LA Cobra and Strike 9, and played Glam and Sleaze Rock Fest in Germany, which was amazing.
And as far as, creating music and all that, have you guys been putting songs together during the pandemic for more music coming from Wildstreet?
Well, yes, we have, and there's some that are really, really great. I'm a little skeptical about putting out music that was written during this time, because let's face it, none of us were living and we were all kind of depressed. But with that said, they're all really great songs. So we'll see.
Yeah, sometimes in the darkness, beauty does come, right? And maybe like a session that you guys did, I totally get it. The sound and the shape and the color of the music has a different tone to it just because of what everyone's experiencing. But it would be interesting to kind of see where your heads were at during that time. It's kind of like a bookmark in the history of the band as to what you guys were going through. So as a fan of you guys, I would totally dig that.
Cool. Yeah. I guess we'll see,
And then as we move forward, this year and, supporting this album and getting this out, you're doing the cruise, you're coming back doing a festival. What's next after that? Can you speak to anything that's what's happening?
Well, right now, the most important thing is releasing the album and the tours that are coming up. We have a lot of tours yet to announce. And then we'll figure it out from there. We haven't set a date to start our new record, but it'll probably just work itself out,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again, the album comes out June 25th, and if you can pre-save it on Spotify or Apple Music, or if you like physical copies, you can go on our website and get these awesome autographed CDs and LPs, vinyl records that and we're giving fans like a bunch of free stuff with the pre-orders, because that's what you do.
That's what you got to do. Yeah, it's exciting because I know you guys. I was planning on going to see you in Chicago. I think April of 2020. I forget the name of the venue that you guys were playing. And like 2 weeks prior to that,
Live
Yes, yeah, and it canceled because of the pandemic. The city of Chicago went in, a stay-at-home order, and then I was frustrated. And then I'm totally excited about you guys playing up around here, and then you guys had to switch the gigs and play down in Peoria, which is like 4 hours from me. So I'm hoping at some point you guys are playing around here in Chicago that I can come see you guys. I would love to check you guys out.
Awesome. Yeah, I will let you know as soon as we announce the July tour. I'll let you know.
In your set list,
hint.
yeah, in your set list that you guys are playing now, are you playing all the songs on the album?
We play a mix of we play a lot of Wildstreet II songs, and we play most of Wildstreet III. Some nights we play different ones. Like I was saying this in another interview. It's like we kind of don't use the set list. We kind of just go by what we feel that night. We know sort of an order, and we just call it as we go. So you never know. Like one night you might hear Mother, and the next night you might hear Midnight Children.
That's great, because I love that. It's kind of an organic feel to it as well.
Yeah, totally. That's Wildstreet,
And everybody's got to be on their game too, because you never know what you're going to call out.
Yep.
Because I remember reading an interview with Tom Morello, who toured with Springsteen for like a year, and he was saying that he had to know like 200 songs, because at any moment Bruce could like call out a song that they haven't been playing for 2 months, and he had to know it. That's a pretty cool way to play live, because it's exciting for the band, because let's face it, repetition is a struggle for a lot of people to play that same set list and songs every night. And when you're doing stuff like that, it really does keep it fresh.
I think so. Obviously, our catalog is not as prolific as Bruce Springsteen, but yeah, if we feel like playing something one night, we'll play it, and if we don't, then we don't.
It's got to help your energy too, as well, because I imagine, if you're playing a song Mother one night and then next week you're playing it again, but maybe there's different energy, or it's just it may sound completely different.
Totally. Yeah. That's the thing about live music. It's a different trip every time you play. It's like, as you said, it's a synergy, and it's the energy. It's the energy from the crowd. It's the energy from the room, and it's playing music together. And luckily, we all still enjoy playing music together. So we inspire each other, and the songs we choose are based on what we're all feeling, not anything else. That's what I'm trying to say.
Was it a challenge for you guys during the pandemic to stay together or stay on the path that you guys had set forth for each other? Because 18 months of not doing anything, that's a struggle for a lot of people, bands, musicians, artists. That's a tough one. That's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, it was tough. And we were spread out in different parts of the country and different parts of the world. But we all knew that we had this record, and we all knew that we would be doing the tours as soon as stuff opened. So so we stayed together, and yeah, I think and stuff is awesome. So,
was music with therapy for you guys? Were you able to? You mentioned some of the stuff that you recorded, had a different color to it just because everybody was depressed. But I also have to imagine too, going into that bubble and making music, it gave you the ability to kind of get away from all the junk that everybody was dealing with. At least for a short period of time. The songs are really good, man. They're really good. They're just and they're very similar to Wildstreet III, as in we can have a song that sounds something like Born to Be, or in the same ballpark as Born to Be, and something that sounds in the ballpark of Mother. And then and other stuff that's even more new kind of stretching the limits of Wildstreet. The songs are not depressing. The songs are great. They're just I just want to see what else we come up with too. Yeah, and getting away. You're hearing all the horrible stuff that's on in the media, and reading all this stuff that because you had the protests, you had COVID, you had a toxic election process. It was just a shit year. And, the ability to make music through that and stay creative is really important. And it's really huge because, you guys had that outlet where maybe not a lot of people had. And, that tone of music that you mentioned and the quality of music that you're excited about making that music during that period, is really interesting for a band like Wildstreet to kind of accomplish.
Well, thank you. I'm excited about the future.
Awesome. So am I for you guys, man, because I think this album is a big step for you guys. I think it's the right time for you guys to release music and get out there and play, because I think people are really excited to hear rock music again.
Yeah, I think so too. It's awesome. We have the best fans. So, so everybody can check us out on our links. Instagram, we're Wildstreet Official. On Twitter, we're Wildstreet. On Facebook, we're Wildstreet NYC. And our official website is wildstreetmusic.com.
Go check them out, everybody. Pre-order the album. Get it going. You will be happy with it. There's vinyl, there's CDs, there's autographed CDs, there's autographed vinyl, there's T-shirts, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can get on their website. Check them out. They're really interactive with their fans too, which is awesome. So once you become part of the Wildstreet family, they really do connect with you. They stay connected with you, and they really put forth a lot of effort to have you stay as a fan. Whereas some other artists sometimes don't. I don't know if they fully appreciate the people that are constantly listening to them and listening to their music. So go check them out, everybody. Eric, it's been a blast. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, that's Eric Jayk from Wildstreet. Go get Wildstreet III on June 25th. Go visit the sites and social media locations that he just mentioned. You will be excited. It's another great album in 2021 that I think you guys will all like. Once again, I'm Jay Scott. I am the host of The Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us wherever you do podcast. We will talk again. Stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great day.
Ask me the question, do you know